Testing, 1, 2. Hi, this is Kyle Van Hook, and I'm going to quickly go over what I've been working on for my Unreal Engine prototyping. Alright, so originally this was, well actually, F11? There we go. Originally this was just an empty slot area, and I wanted to first figure out how to make my own character. I can't press F11 here and do full screen. So, follow video tutorial. This comes later, but no, this is something different. I first learned a little bit how to do the input mapping, or a little bit of the enhanced input action for like controls and stuff, and followed a quick tutorial on how to basically make a character, a small character controller or actor, right here. Made a very small gameplay mode, and then started building together the input controls here, and then started getting movement here ready. What else? What am I trying to explain? I guess the enhanced input actions are using Unity, Unreal Engine's enhanced input stuff. So for like movement, we're getting the keyboard inputs for like WASD and stuff, and then for looking, we're getting the mouse. For jumping, we're getting the space bar. For sprinting, I'm using left shift. And then I have some other stuff that I thought was important, like interacting, and one of the other things I've worked on was grabbing, throwing, and then rotating an object. But anyways, we have here for handle, like this section here is for actually doing the camera movement. This section here has to do with like object rotation. And then we have jumping, we have sprinting. We're basically using Unity's built-in jump thing. And then for sprinting, we're basically increasing the max walk speed whenever we trigger it and then release the key. All right, so that was that. Now we have like, I think I made two interfaces. One's an interacting interface, one is a grabbing interface. The grabbing interface basically marks something that it can be grabbed. In the interaction interface, we're basically using the interaction interface instead of something that can be grabbed, more along the lines of something that you can interact with, like a door or a switch. I'll have to, I think, open those up as well. Honestly, yeah. Honestly, the interaction input really has nothing, just the functions. Everything else is just in the player character and then the object that's being interacted with. So we have the grab and release. I should show those off. But first, one thing we do have is like I basically have a constant line trace that's coming from the camera, and is then basically setting that trace out, yeah. And then for this, we have what's basically the grab object. We're basically getting our trace out. We're checking that it has the BP grab interface. And if that's true, we're going to go through this. We're going to set the CD, a continuous collision detection. We're going to then grab the component at the location with rotation using the physics handle that we've added. We're going to set the grabbed actor. Then we're going to, I guess, for the player, give ourselves the gameplay tag grabbed object. Basically to say, hey, we've grabbed an object. Though we could also probably do this with like a boolean, but I was just following the tutorial. And remove move object is basically checking that it has the tag. Then we're getting the grabbed component from the physics handle. We're checking is that valid. Then we're basically setting the continuous collision detection to true. Then we're releasing the component. We're removing the gameplay tag. And then we're checking if we want to throw the object, or if that's been set. And if that is true, we're basically just going to throw the object, which is in the BPI grab, or in the interface for grab. And then we're setting the grabbed actor to nothing. Is there anything else? Oh yeah, I think like this is basically just a macro for checking below the player to make sure that if they're like standing on an object, they can't grab it. Other than that, it's not really that needed. I had a lot more stuff planned, but other homework like modeling just caught up with me. While modeling and internship stuff. What else? Oh yeah, so I guess this is the grab object base, which is basically it's basically the parent class for any object that can be grabbed, like an actor. So what we're basically doing is that when the throw object event is called, we're getting the player controller, then we're getting the camera manager, we're getting the camera's rotation, and then vector. And then we're multiplying that by the player's throw force. And then we're just setting the physics linear velocity to the static mesh. And then I didn't know if we wanted to make it so that the player's force would be larger, or if we wanted to make it so that it would be larger based on weight. But I could probably go more into this. Let's grab, okay. And the only other interesting thing is that we have a button. When it's interacted with, it basically spawns an actor next to it. Yeah, alright. F1. Alright, here we are. My main, what I really wanted to do was just test making a character from scratch, which I guess I've done, since I've gotten a working character. I don't have health implemented. If you press E, you can interact. If you press the left click on the mouse, you can pick up an object. If you hold R and then move the mouse, you can start to move the object. This is a bit buggy, but it's interesting to have. And then if you press, well, first if you release the left click, we'll basically drop the object. If you press right click while holding it, well, actually, I don't think that was a better idea. That wasn't a good example. You'll just throw it. Which is, I could probably make it fun and more interesting, but yeah. And then something quickly that I got to test around was actually spawning a ball and then playing basketball. Goal. And then yeah, that's basically it. If you throw a ball into the hoop up there, you get a goal and you win. Most of the time, just other than working on other stuff, most of the time came around to getting the throwing and grabbing stuff to work and figuring out how I wanted to make this. But other than that, that's basically it. Thank you. Have a good time.